All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another live broadcast from Birch Aquarium, sort of. My name is Caitlin, and I'm talking to you from my lovely home here in San Diego. But we have a great guest today who is definitely a familiar face. You've probably seen her in a lot of our videos and blog posts, or even just around the aquarium. We have Aquarist Kaelie here today, who's going to talk about her awesome job and also about enrichment, which is a really cool thing that we need to do with our animals to keep them happy and healthy and entertained. So Kaelie, welcome.
Hello.
We're so happy to have you here. And I just want to share, I love this photo of you that we have for our opening to this chat. I know that you did the scientific diving course at Scripps, and this I feel like just captures that feeling of getting out of the water.
Yeah, the moment before you have to walk up the flight of stairs with all of your wet gear.
Oh my gosh.
You get to the top of it, it don't look like that anymore.
I'm glad he got that photo before you came up the stairs. Before we completely dive in, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Birch Aquarium?
Yeah, I take care of a lot of our fishes here, just like all of our Aquarist staff. So my specific galleries that I tend to are our Pacific Northwest gallery. So if you've been to Birch before, that actually starts at the sardine tank and then goes all the way through right before you hit jellies. So I tend to all those tanks. And then I get to care for our tide pool exhibit, which definitely has the best view of the entire house. And then I also help care for our loggerhead sea turtle, along with Mike and Amy, who have both done these chats with you guys before as well. So you've seen both of their lovely faces. So we tend to the turtle with each other. And then, yeah, the enrichment and training kind of, all of us do our own training, but they kind of go hand in hand. So, but mostly enrichment.
That's so cool. And we'll talk a little bit more about what enrichment is and what it takes a little bit down the line. But I also want to make sure everybody knows that Kaelie takes care of one of our most popular creatures at the aquarium. I know she is a staff favorite and a member and guest favorite. Who is this lovely lady who we're talking about, Kaelie?
I believe you're talking about our Giant Pacific Octopus.
Yes.
So,
she's so cool.
Yeah, she's the best.
So cool. So as we dive into our chat with Kaelie, I just wanted to learn a little bit, how did you end up in this cool career as an aquarist, as really a biologist and a scientist who happens to take care of a lot of really cool creatures?
I always say when people ask me this question that I feel like I just came out of the womb knowing I wanted to be a marine biologist, and it was just about like how that job like manifested in reality. So I was interested in research for a little bit. I didn't know that husbandry was kind of going to be the path I took, but I am so happy that it did. So I did a lot of ocean things all throughout college. So the picture you see of me in the intertidal areas where I'm standing, not in the water, I helped a PhD student work on her research project that had to do with sponges.
Cool.
So that is her in the water there getting some sponges, and I'm catching them and putting them in to take back and do some research on those, how fast sponges can grow. So that was a really cool introductory ability for me to like look into what research was like. And then the other picture of me in the tide pool, that's actually from the aquarium science program. So after I graduated from Oregon State University, which is where I got my degree in zoology, then I went into the aquarium science program. And the aquarium science program is a 1-year certificate program, or they also offer a 2-year associate's program if you don't have a degree. But that program is hands down the reason why I'm here at Birch today. The program is unlike any other that they offer. They really kind of throw you in, and yeah. So this is another cool couple of photos. So the program is through Oregon Coast Community College, which is located in Newport, Oregon, which is also where the Oregon Coast Aquarium is. So I had a lot of opportunity to work there as well.
How cool.
So we're standing on top of Passages of the Deep, which is their biggest exhibit. That aquarium actually housed Keiko, the killer whale or orca, before they released it. And then they turned that whole exhibit into 3 different tunneled aquariums. So this is the largest one.
Wow.
We're feeding the sharks. We got an opportunity to do that through the school. And then the other photo is me working. I did a practicum at a hatchery. So that's all the way down in the pit, getting out all of moving them from one section of the tunnels to the other ones.
What kind of fish were in this hatchery? For people who don't know what a hatchery is, it's a place where you grow up baby fish, and sometimes they end up in aquaculture or growing them up for people to eat, and sometimes they get released, and sometimes they're grown up in pens. So there's a lot of different ways that hatcheries are used. But can you tell us a little bit more about this one? That's a really cool thing we haven't talked about.
Yeah, so this was located in Alsea, which is in between Corvallis and Newport, so right in the center. And there were salmon there, and there were native salmon, and then there was also the salmon that they had raised at the hatchery. So I did a lot of the like egg sorting process too, and like checking on all the bins and cleaning the baby fish out. And then this was kind of, we did this every once in a while. It wasn't every time I was there, but you have to move the fish once they get trapped in that area. You have to check for native fish. If those are native, you let them go, or you mark them. I don't know, so long ago. But there was
you don't need every detail, but it's just cool understanding like how fish end up, sometimes being released if it's a conservation program, or sometimes end up being farmed, just like you might farm things with hooves for people to eat.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum for your career, you sent some photos that look like you're in a bit of a warmer location here. I don't think you're in Oregon in all of these photos, are you?
No. So after the aquarium science program, I did an internship over on Catalina Island. So I was there for 3 months working with the Pennington Marine Science Center, and got to do a lot of cool things. Running an aquarium on an island is a whole challenge in itself. You think about the waste of chemicals that you may use to sterilize things or to treat animals. And you may think of something else. I think we may have lost Caitlin, but I'm just going to keep talking about the time that I spent on Pennington, which was really cool. So that was all done on Catalina Island. It was also through a Boy Scout community. So I ran the aquarium that was there with the help of the staff, obviously. Hello.
Please continue, Kaelie. I'm just pulling up our slides again.
Sure. So on top of the doing the aquarium stuff, I also taught some merit badges to the Boy Scouts. So I taught some oceanography classes and some Aquarist 101 classes. So that was super fun. And then the diving out there is also spectacular. So it was really fun to be in the water out there.
Excellent. Sorry, I lost the photos for a second. I don't know what happened with my home internet.
Oh,
and I think something that's also really cool about Catalina Island and the Channel Islands, for anyone who is tuning in from not California, they're islands that are off of Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, in a really unique area called the Southern California Bight, which is a fancy oceanographic term, but it's a place where there's the land, California, and then the ocean kind of drops down into all of these really amazing kind of basins, and then it gets shallower again and basin again. And then there are the islands. So you actually get some really unique open ocean species that come both to the islands, but then also between the islands and California itself. Very fascinating place.
Yeah, that's where I saw my first giant black sea bass.
Wow.
So you guys have tuned into these before, and you've seen our kelp tank, or talked about, Melissa and Amy, I think, had some really cool shots of feeding the giant black sea bass. And that's where I saw my very first one. And seeing a fish that gets the size of a Volkswagen Bug when you're down at 60 feet under the water is a heart-stopping moment of just pure awesomeness.
That's such a good way to put it. Yeah. I mean, I have never dove with a giant black sea bass, but I have been in the water with some very large animals before. And it is kind of that like you get really excited and it almost doesn't feel real. You're like, is this like TV? And then you're like, no, this is real life. So cool.
And you just want to tell everyone about it, but you can't talk. So you're just expressing with your eyes, and your eyes just get so expressive because you just want to tell everyone all the things underwater.
Yes, indeed. So before we transition to talking about what you do here and now at Birch Aquarium, we have a lot of comments coming in. So thank you guys for your comments and your questions. Please keep them coming because we're going to be talking about a lot of cool octopus stuff. So I know you guys love octopus. So we have a good morning from Cynthia on behalf of Ace and Aviana. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in to learn about ocean animals and to hear from Kaelie.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of good mornings, and we have a few questions from Nolan, which you might want to touch on as we're talking about your career. Nolan wants to know, do you take care of sharks? Is that your job here at the aquarium?
So I take care, specifically myself, I take care of one little horn shark who lives in the tide pool.
And horn sharks get to be about 4 feet long, and they have a horn on their dorsal fin, a little spike. So that's where their name comes from.
Yeah, and that spike is made of keratin, which is the same stuff your fingernail and hair is made out of. Little fun fact. So,
fun fact.
Yeah, those guys are.
Wait a minute. I love new facts. That makes me really happy. Very cool. So other than one little horn shark who you usually take care of, tell us more, take a deeper dive into some of your roles at Birch Aquarium.
Yeah. So the octopus is a big time for me. So I spend a lot of time with her is that's what I was trying to say. And so it's actually written into her husbandry manual through AZA, which is the Association of Zoos and Aquarium. And it's actually written into her manual that we have to spend 20 minutes a day minimum with her. So that's doing it can be a lot of things. It can be cleaning her exhibit, and she often will interact with the cleaning tools that I use. It can be doing stuff that I'm doing in this photo. It can be outside the glass interactions. We play peekaboo in the mornings. That's one of her favorite things is she sleeps up in the corner, and I'll kind of poke my head to the side and then go like this. And then she'll kind of move her head out and do the same. So we'll play kind of peekaboo in the mornings. She may reach out an arm or two across the glass. My watch has a really dim light on it. So oftentimes I'll use that and she'll kind of be intrigued by that light if it's really dim. What else? A lot of times it's tactile. So the photo that you see, she's tasting me and getting interaction from me that way. So
cool. And so you guys know, this is from above our exhibit behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And so our octopus, our Giant Pacific Octopus, which is this lovely lady, she's pretty big. Is she fully grown now, Kaelie? Or she's got a little ways to go?
I actually think that this photo is of our female who has gone through senescence. So I don't know if we want to go into that right now, but so this is our female who is now in her retirement home, and we have a younger octopus on exhibit now.
Definitely. So just so people know, Giant Pacific Octopus, they are the largest octopus species, and there are some up by Alaska that can get to be huge. They can weigh, is it 200 pounds, Kaelie? Some of those really big ones? I feel like I've read.
So. I think it may even be more than that, but like their suction cups can be like this big.
Whoa.
Like just the size of my fist big, just so, and these ones will leave like little hickey marks on my arm after we're done interacting. So I cannot even imagine ones that are like this big. Oh
my gosh. Huge cephalopods, which these guys are. It means head foot. And they're related to squids and cuttlefish and octopus. They're all cousins. So the Giant Pacific Octopus, even though it is one of the largest types of cephalopod, unfortunately, no cephalopods live for very long. So our female octopus that we have on reserve, she is older. In captivity, they usually live about 3 to 5 years, and that's old for an octopus. And so we usually have two octopus, one who's behind the scenes, and then a younger octopus who, this girl, I don't remember how old she is. How old is she, Kaelie? Do you remember?
The one that we have.
I know exactly.
The one that we have on exhibit now?
Yeah.
She is like 1 and like 6 months or something, 1.5,
Aww.
1 and 9 months, something like that.
Very cool. So by the time an octopus is usually large enough to go in our on display habitat, she has, or he, we don't always have female octopus, but usually has to be about a year old or so. And behind the scenes, I feel like, I'm not sure if we have it in the next video. I'm going to play a video for you, but we always get the question, can the octopus get out of their exhibit? But our exhibit is oh wait, you're going to feed. Let's pause this for 1 second. We'll
yeah, that one, yeah, I think there is one further down, but we can talk about it later.
Yeah. But what do we have around our exhibit that prevents the octopus from getting out? Because we always get that question.
Yeah, so the top of the rim of the tank, and then there's a kind of a fence that goes around it, is covered with astroturf. And so that is that spiky fake grass basically that you'll see on like playing fields, things like that. But I always say that it's analogous to like stepping on 1,000 Legos for her. If you've ever stepped on a Lego, it hurts so bad.
No.
So,
and it's also hard to grip on it.
Yeah, so she can't, if you think of a suction cup, it needs a flat surface.
Mm-hmm.
And so she can't stick to it, and two, it's just uncomfortable for her suction cups to even really like be on it. So she touches that, she'll feel it, and then she's like, nah, I'm gonna stay in here.
I don't want to touch the astroturf. So yeah. A lot of aquariums actually use very elaborate systems with weights and toggles and lids and all of this stuff. And yes, we do have that for some of our octopus at the aquarium. But in our larger exhibit that you see in the Hall of Fishes, it's a lot of astroturf. So it's pretty cool. Nolan and Abigail have a follow-up question that I think might be a good one to ask right now. Where is the octopus's mouth? Right here, we're able to see kind of her two eyes kind of further up on this side of her head, and she's got her 8 arms. But where is the mouth?
So that's a really good question. So her mouth is actually located where all of her arms are. If you think of like, these are some of my octopus arms, the mouth is going to be right here in the center of my body. So where all of the arms come together like this, it would be right there.
Yeah. Right in the center of all of their arms.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And actually that might be a great question to transition. Our next video, I recognized you had a stick. And so what's going on in this video?
So this is a example of some enrichment and target training. So they kind of go in.
I didn't realize we were transitioning to a wolf eel. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk
about them. They're so cool.
Yeah, we can go back to octopuses for sure. But this video was just, it's an example of target training. So you can see there's a stick that's in the water, and then these wolf eels come up to that stick, and then food is dropped in. So this is one of the first videos that we shot with the wolf eels. So I was just kind of getting them trained. So we still have a long ways to go as far as how that looks in the future, but it was really exciting to see them come to that target and come up to it. So
yeah, and so training all sorts of animals is something that's very important for any sort of zoo and aquarium. And I know we've talked about the target training with the turtle. We had a really fun video that featured you, Kaelie, haha, that showed target training our pelagic stingray. I could not remember pelagic for a moment.
Oh yeah.
So people often don't think that you can train many animals, but like these wolf eels, which are a really cool cold water species, they are learning. And also many animals are target trained at the aquarium, which is really, really cool. So I think this next one, going into training a little bit more, can you tell us, what are these cool things?
So these are some of the items I use for enrichment. So Enrichment is the technological term for it is providing animals a outlet to elicit their natural behavior. So that fancy definition is just ways I'm giving animals tools to use behaviors that they would out in the wild. So, for example, that tooth ball, the ball that has like all the teeth, I'll stuff a bunch of krill in all of those little crevices, and then I'll kind of hide that in the exhibit for the octopus. And one of the cool things we didn't touch on with the octopus is all of their amazing senses. So she has taste buds all over her suction cups that have more taste buds than your tongue. And
here we go. We can see her arms with all those suction cups right now.
Yeah, and she has 240 of those suction cups down 8 arms. So we can talk about kind of the math behind that. But as soon as I put anything in the water that's remotely food, she knows. She can sense that and taste that immediately. So I can hide that kind of anywhere in her exhibit, and it's a good thought process for her. Okay, I can smell it. Now where is it? And then when I get it, now I have to use all of those suction cups to pluck out all of the different krill pieces. So food for them in the wild isn't just handed to them. They have to hunt for it. They have to forage for it. So that's one of the fun ones that we do for her. She really likes just that tactile feeling too. And then also talking about tactile, the ketchup bottle, which you may recognize from your home if you have any sort of condiment squeeze bottle. It's a direct line of water that just kind of like tickles her. So the other thing we use is a watering can. So that's just
like that watering can.
Yeah. Have you watered your octopus today? But it's just like a tactile feeling for her. I always say it's kind of like being in the shower, just like you like being in the shower, you like feeling that water on her. It's the same kind of thing. So with the ketchup bottle, it's fun because it's a more direct line. And so I can kind of play with her with it. Like think of a cat and a laser toy, kind of like how you would move it around. She'll move her arms, kind of follow that direct line from the ketchup bottle.
So cool. We talk about, like, both of us have dogs, and I'm sure many of you have dogs and cats at home, and we're always buying puzzle toys or treat toys or laser pointers or things like that. So animal enrichment is something that is not foreign to many people. They just don't even realize they're doing it with their pets at home. Exactly. But for super intelligent animals like our giant Pacific octopus, to animals where you might not even realize they need a little bit more excitement in their lives, like some of our fish species, all of these animals deserve to have enriching lives and deserve to have some fun activities to do. So it's really a cool part of your job. And I know that there are lots of different toys and things that you've implemented to entertain the octopus. If you guys have any ideas for Kaelie for puzzle toys or things like that we could try with our octopus, let us know in the comments. I know I've shared some dog toys with you that I've found.
The barnacle one that you sent me was very popular with the octopus.
That's great to know. My dogs love it also. Yeah. And then thinking about that, what are some things to keep in mind also to make sure those things are safe if you have an animal that's playing with it? Because that's got to be another thing to consider.
Yeah, that's super important. So along with enrichment, because you're adding something that may be novel to them or new, that could provide some sort of dangers, you always want to watch to see what they're going to do with it. So the octopus, the only thing that really would happen with her, she may bite it. She has bitten a few of the jars that we've had, and you'll actually see little teeth marks, but she doesn't eat it. You'll see that as soon as she puts her beak in it, she's like, I don't know, I don't want to eat that. So she has 9 brains. So each arm has a brain, and then she has like a central brain in her head. So all 9 of those brains are telling her that I got the food out. I don't need to eat the jar.
That's so cool. Yeah. And you guys, for the mouth question that we got a little while ago from Nolan, was it? Asking where the mouth was. So their mouth is in between all their arms, but they also have a parrot-like beak that they use to break into things and crunch stuff up. They can't chew, but they can bite.
Yeah, and that beak is also venomous. So they have a venom in their beak that once they bite into it, they'll inject that venom into their prey. and it helps kind of loosen up the meat, so to speak. So because they don't have teeth to kind of chomp things, it just softens everything up. It's easier for them to digest and inhale.
Man, octopus, the more I learn about them, the crazier and cooler they get.
I know.
While we're talking about the octopus, it looks like we do have a couple of questions about octopus. I am Andy Chang wants to know, what does an octopus feel like when you interact with her?
Oh, that's a good question. Hi, Andy. And
I'm going to bring back that picture.
I'm trying to think of, like, it's not slimy. I think people think that it's going to leave this like slime residue on you. What's really interesting that Andy kind of touched on is that they don't have any bones. They're cephalopods. So the only hard part of an octopus is her beak and her eyes. And so everything else that her arms are running through is a water vascular system. So when you feel it, it may feel like cartilage or things that your nose are made out of or your ear, but it's all water vascular, which was what allows them to squeeze through such tiny spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, pretty much if an octopus if their eye or their beak can fit through a hole, then most of the octopus can also fit through that hole. So they can be squishy at times because they need to squeeze their bodies down. But I would say they feel strong too. I mean, her grip is impressive at times.
Yeah. So another fun fact that I like to share about octopuses is that each one of those suction cups that I talked about earlier can carry 2 to 5 pounds of force. So if you do the math, if you multiply 5 times 240 suction cups times 8 arms, that's enough force to lift a car. So if you suctioned onto a car and you were able to lift that octopus up, she would lift that car up with it.
That's crazy. Talk about super strength.
Yeah. Crazy.
How cool.
Yeah.
And so, but also she can be very gentle when she's interacting with you. I've been fortunate enough to be behind the scenes with Kaelie a few times. And to me, it's actually very cute when the octopus kind of gingerly brings her tentacle out and just kind of like says hello to you. It's very cute.
She's very sweet. So she does recognize my face and my smell at this point, which I'm super grateful and humbled by, that she recognizes me as a human. So that's really humbling as an aquarist to be in that position. But so as soon as she sees my face, or as soon as I put my hand in the water and kind of move it around, she'll start to come over. And I talked about how strong that force is, but she's not going to pull me into the exhibit or anything. She's very gentle and likes the tactile play. So I'll kind of like wrestle around with her arms and get her moving. And that's just all part of the enrichment, things that are novel for her.
So fun. Looks like we have another really great question from Marine, who wants to know, can the octopus change colors?
Oh, this is another fun fact. Octopuses have so many fun facts. So yeah, they can change color instantaneously, which is amazing. So they have special cells in their skin called chromatophores. And those are cells that contract and dilate instantaneously to change color. So you can see in this photo that is up is that she's kind of this mottled color. So she can kind of see those like marbled places where it's really dark red, and then some places are a little bit white. She has like one white spot where her quote nose would be. It's not where her nose is, but it's like kind of right in between her eyes. And I always like to go boop right there in that white spot. But they do that to blend into their environment for camouflage reasons, for hiding. So they're going to be ambush kind of stealth predators, and so they hide really well. And then as soon as something comes by that they're interested in, they're going to reach out that arm and probably change color and grab that really quickly. So she'll do that in her exhibit as well. She'll be kind of hiding up in her corner. And there are some times when I come in and she is just bright white. And I'm just like, there's no color. And then there's times like this where she's absolutely stunning, and has that deep red color. Yeah, you can see that's where kind of her mouth is, that Nolan was asking earlier, where all of those pieces come together. That's right where her mouth is. But you can see, she's just really curious, grabbing onto my arms.
Sorry, guys.
So Yeah, we do this. I do this with her 20 minutes a day if she's willing. So it's all up to her. I want to make sure that she feels comfortable and safe in her enclosure. And so I'll offer a tactile experience if she wants. I'll kind of reach my hand out. If you guys watched the video that came out about the frozen enrichment, you may have seen the tickle stick. Another like form of enrichment of like another, like think of a cat with a feather on a stick kind of thing. But it's all up to her, which is part of enrichment and part of training is it's all up to the animal. So I can provide opportunities for her to engage, but if she doesn't want to, that is totally her call.
Definitely. And I feel like sometimes just like a person, she feels like, yeah, I want to play today. I'm really into it. And sometimes she's sassy, guys. Sometimes she squirts with water.
Yeah.
It's very funny. And I am convinced not to anthropomorphize an octopus, but they're smart. And just like, you know, it's funny when a toddler splashes water at you and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
That toddler, I feel like this octopus, she will squirt water at poor Kaelie.
Yeah. That was a fun video. Yeah, there was a fun video with Jeff Zevley, who came from the Zevley zone, and he actually included that in his bit about how we were interacting with the octopus, and then we were, you know, kind of using the food as enrichment, having her come over, and then she siphoned a bunch of water up at him, and it was hysterical. So.
It was really funny. We have another great question that came in from Nick Spencer. How long has Miss Spencer worked with Octopus? How long?
Hi, Nick. How long have I worked with octopuses? So I guess I would say 2 years, because I have been at Birch for almost 2.5 years, and I started working with Pacific Northwest, 6 months, maybe 9 months after I came on. So yeah, I had some experience with them before I got to Birch, but as far as caring for one and kind of having it as my own animal that I am solely kind of taking care of, I would say about 2 years.
Very cool, and definitely a fun species to work with for that long.
Yeah.
We have a few more questions coming in about the octopus, and this one kind of has to do with her enrichment as well. So what does the octopus eat? What do you feed our giant Pacific octopus?
So she eats all sorts of things. We have a wide variety here, which is really, we're really fortunate to have such a wide variety. So she gets things like capelin, which are a small fish about this big. We'll feed her mackerel. We'll feed her clam. And the clams come in all sorts of variations. There's whole clams. There's fresh clams. We actually just got a donation with all of this COVID stuff happening from a restaurant that gave us fresh oysters. And seeing her with the oysters for the first time was really fun.
How cool.
And then we'll go diving for fresh mussels as well. So we're lucky to be right where we are at Birch, right next to the ocean. So we can go pick up some of those fresh live clams and oysters or mussels for her.
Yeah, because all of the food that our animals eat here at Birch Aquarium is human grade food. It's restaurant quality food. So we source a lot of our food from the same places that restaurants would source it. And so anything that our octopus eats, technically, Kaelie or I could eat too if we really wanted to. But that's for the octopus, not for us.
The oysters were tempting.
Right? One of my favorite things that you make for the octopus, Kaelie, and for other animals at the aquarium are octopops. What is an octopop?
So an octopop, as I named them, it's just it's frozen juice of things that have defrosted. So it could be krill juice, it could be clam juice. It could be a mixture of raw water and maybe garlic. I think I talked a little bit about garlic in the video.
Yeah, check out that video.
Yeah. So, so that's just a way of giving the octopus a treat without compromising their diet. So they have a pretty strict diet. You can overfeed an octopus, you can underfeed an octopus, and you don't want them to grow too fast or stunt their growth at all. And so but when providing treats or even a tactile thing, it's fun to give them a treat. So I just made it analogous to eating a popsicle, how it's just flavored water, basically. So it's the same thing for the octopus.
And that the cold and the hard of the ice also provides enrichment.
Yes.
So just like it would take, sorry to make so many dog analogies, but just like you might give your dog a frozen treat and it'll take them a little longer to get through it, it's the same thing for some of our animals. And that cold texture, especially being a Pacific Northwest animal, that she lives in a very chilled environment at the aquarium. Her tank is cold.
Very cool.
That ice is definitely an extra fun and tactile thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've had a lot of great octopus questions, guys. So we're going to answer one or two more, but keep them coming. I think another great question that just came in from Ralph. Ralph wants to know, if an octopus loses a limb, will it grow back?
Yes, it will. So good question, Ralph. Yeah, so our octopus, who is currently in her little retirement home in the back, actually came in with some sort of stunted growth on her arm, and you could see her arm was like really big, and then imagine like right at the elbow, it was like kind of truncated, and then it was really little. So you could actually see where that growth was coming back. So it's a slower process. I don't actually know how fast that would happen out in the wild, but I do know that they have the capability to do so.
It would probably depend on a lot of factors, like how much food the octopus has, how old the octopus is, lots of things like that. So, I mean, the answer is yes, but how fast? Definitely a great question. And sometimes it's actually, people aren't sure, like, well, why would an octopus lose a limb? If a predator, like a shark, a lot of sharks that live along the bottom like to eat octopus, or sea lions love to eat octopus. If some of those predators came and grabbed the octopus, if the octopus had to lose an arm to get away from something like a sea lion, it would do that. It would live another day. It would have 7 arms for a while and then hopefully grow back.
Yeah.
That last one. All right. Before we move on to tide pools, we have one more question. Can an octopus smile? That. Wait, and would an octopus smile be the same as a human smile?
Oh man, I think an octopus smiling is going to look different for an octopus than it is for a human. Human uses a smile to display happiness, to display comfort, to display like positive things. That's kind of what a smile is associated with. So things about an octopus, you may relate a smile to color changes or behavior. So it's hard to link those things directly to how an animal is feeling. That's something that the industry calls anthropomorphizing. So you don't want to give this animal a human characteristic because you don't really know how they're feeling. It's hard to say that that octopus is happy, to say that the octopus is sad. So what you're looking at is behavioral traits. Is the octopus eating regularly? Is it coming over to interact? Are its color changes good? Are its bathroom qualities normal? Like, there are things that you look at for animal health.
To see if an octopus is happy.
Yeah, it's just like those are the things that you're looking at as far as like behavior and if it's any abnormalities. That's what like kind of look into that. But
I don't think they can manipulate their beak to actually look like a human smile.
Yeah,
like their beak just kind of sticks out of like a little hole.
Yeah, and we actually don't ever really see their beak. When we're interacting, her beak is always enclosed. So if that beak does come out, that's a hands out. We're gonna take a break.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But that doesn't happen often.
No.
Let's see. So though we love talking about our octopus, and we could definitely keep talking about her till we are both blue in the face.
Yeah.
But if you guys have more octopus questions, we have about 5 more minutes to chat with Kaelie. But I didn't want to miss talking about our tide pool exhibit that we have at Birch Aquarium. For anyone who's visited, it's our Tide Pool Plaza exhibit, which has some artificial rocky tide pools that were created to mimic the look and the water flow of real tide pools that you would find here in Southern California. So Kaelie, tell us a little bit more about that cool exhibit.
Yeah, I thought these pictures were kind of cool because it shows I'm out collecting on the one with the when I'm in the ocean, not in the gallery. I don't know what side is which, but anyway, so when I'm out there, this was me collecting some food for the different animals. So all the different natural algae that grow out in the tide pools, I'll collect a little bit of that, and then I'll actually plant it, and some of that will continue to grow in our tide pools back home. But it's also a way for me to say, to see what's natural out there, like what's happening. So if I want to change some rocks around, if I wanted to add some different algae, if I want to see what they're eating, if we can kind of mimic that as close as we can so that our tide pools closely relate to all of the other ones that are out just off of our coast, which are all marine protected areas.
Yeah, and that's definitely something to keep in mind. Kaelie has the buckets there, and similarly to how Melissa and I have talked about how we have special permits for collecting the kelp, we have special permits that allow Kaelie and our Aquarist team to collect things like some of those algae from the tide pools.
Yeah.
So again, these are usually protected areas, or like Kaelie said, a marine protected area. So please don't go and just take things out of the tide pools.
Yeah, don't do that.
But they are a beautiful place to visit. And to me, it's one of the coolest ocean habitats that is accessible from shore. You don't need to go snorkeling. You don't need to, know how to swim. All you need is some preferably closed-toed shoes or shoes of any sort that are safe. And your eyeballs and some curiosity to go down there and just be very careful where you step. The rocks are slippery and a lot of animals are camouflaged to look like rocks.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool place that people are able to visit. That's the intersection of land and sea. And you are, hopefully when we are back open, we're not sure when that's going to be, but hopefully some of you guys can come and see the tide pool exhibit that Kaelie works so hard to take care of. What do you think is the coolest part about working with our tide pools up at the aquarium?
I think it's really cool that it's the most natural form of an exhibit that you can have. Our water is straight from the ocean. It allows for all of that natural algae growth that I'm going out there to collect and kind of plant some of that in our exhibit. It allows for that to happen. I just love seeing people's face light up too when they touch an anemone for the first time, or they touch a sea urchin for the first time, things like that. So I love the chance to interact with guests as well, because it's a popular spot for guests. So when we are open, which I hope we open, who knows when, but when we do, getting a chance to talk to guests about their experiences out there is really fun.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. One of my favorite things is watching Kaelie do the tide pool feedings to see the animals, because a lot of tide pool animals hide, not because they're scared, but tide pools are shallow habitats. And a lot of the times the sun is very strong. So you can imagine we need to like squint when we're at the beach. These little animals a lot of the times prefer the shade where they're also hidden from a predator like a seagull that could come down.
Yeah.
We get a lot of questions about the net on the sides of our tide pools.
Yeah.
And I like to say that if we didn't have them covered by a net at night, they might be a buffet for certain animals like raccoons. So if you've ever wondered what those nets are there for at the aquarium, we cover the tide pools when they're not in use to help keep those tide pool animals safe, especially at night from animals like raccoons that might come up and want to get a little snack, and during the day from natural predators like seagulls. And then also we close, we have two main touch pools for people on either side of the exhibit. Sorry, I don't know where my camera is. And we have one open at a time. So when people are touching in this tide pool, the other one is closed with the net to give those animals a break. So that's the net. Yeah. Oh, we have a question from Mary who says, we love and miss that exhibit. We do too. How many types of algae are in there? Wow, that could be a hard question. There's a lot of types of algae.
Oh my gosh, my brain.
A bunch.
Yeah, I would say at least 5, if not more. And
very cool.
Yeah, there's different types of coralline algae. There's encrusting coralline, which looks like a carpet. There's branching coralline, which is the purple branching stuff. There's the sea lettuce, which is that bright green stuff. You can see that's kind of by my leg in that photo. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's a lot. And I think what's helps that is our natural seawater that comes in and allows all those nutrients that seawater holds to help feed that algae.
That's so cool. And we are fortunate to be able to bring in seawater from Scripps Pier, actually. It's pumped up from Scripps Pier. I know we've talked about it in the past, but it's pumped up from Scripps Pier, filtered a few times, and we are able to use it in some of our exhibits. Guys, so we are going to wrap up. And here we have Kaelie doing a few more cute Aquarist things with members of our team. There's a few familiar faces in here. Actually, we've talked to almost everybody in this photo.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we have one Aquarist in training in this photo. Leslie's son's in here.
Yeah.
But you're part of a really amazing team. And I know you guys are working extra hours right now in a split into two separate teams to keep social distancing and to keep the team safe. So I know that all of us who are working from home are really appreciative of you guys taking care of the animals. And everybody at home has been loving all of the tuning in and chats like this. So do you want to say anything about these last photos before we sign off?
Oh, I would just say that I work with a great team, and even though we're separate right now, I only see half of the team I normally work with. So I miss the other team like crazy, but I know that we're all doing what we can to stay safe and keep the animals safe. And I just look at this photo of all of us hugging without masks on and wonder if that will ever happen again. But that's okay.
A sentiment that so many of us have, but I think I have faith in science. So I'm hoping eventually we'll be able to get back there. And here you guys are on Scripps Pier doing so much great work for the aquarium. And I got to say, I think that your job is probably one of the hardest, but it's also probably one of the most rewarding also.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you just said.
That makes me so happy. Well, we're gonna wrap up. Thank you guys for tuning in yet again, and for all of your support. We've been getting a lot of really nice notes and messages from members in our community. So I really wanted to give a heartfelt thank you from all of us at Birch Aquarium. And then also, if you want to have another fun thing to do on Thursday afternoon at 2, we're going to have another live cast. So you're welcome to tune in. And then also, we have a lot of fun videos going up on our YouTube page. We just had a really great one talking about coral fragmentation. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to watch the video to learn about fragmenting coral. So anyway, thank you again, Kaelie, and thank all you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.